You wake up in the middle of the night with your heart racing. That silly argument from yesterday still burns inside you like a living flame. You know you should forget about it, but you can't. Your mind won't stop. It spins, it grinds, it repeats. And then, when the day starts, you explode at someone who didn't deserve it, or you shut down, carrying everything alone until you break. Have you been through this before? Then you're not alone. Millions of people live trapped in this invisible cycle. The emotion arises, you react on autopilot, and then comes the regret. But what if I told you that there's an ancient Japanese philosophy that can teach you to break this pattern once and for all? Stay with me until the end, because you're going to learn how to reclaim control of your own mind. The truth is brutal, but it needs to be said. You don't control your mind, it controls you. It might sound heavy, but look at your own life. How many times have you promised you wouldn't lose your patience again? How many times have you sworn you'd wake up early, focus on what matters, stop procrastinating? And how many times has laziness won? How many times has anger spoken louder? How many times has anxiety paralyzed you before you even tried? It's not a lack of willpower. It's that nobody ever taught you how the internal game of your own mind works. We live in an age of infinite distraction, constant comparison, chronic anxiety. Your phone vibrates, your mind jumps, someone criticizes, you fall apart. Something unexpected happens, you panic. And the worst part, you know you're overreacting, but you can't stop. It's like there's an emotional autopilot commanding your decisions, and you're just a passenger watching everything from the balcony, helpless. This is the cycle that imprisons most people. Emotion, reaction, regret. An endless loop that drains your energy, destroys relationships, sabotages your dreams, and keeps you always one step behind the life you really want to live. But here's the secret that few know. Ancient samurai from Japan faced life or death situations every day. A single moment of emotional loss of control meant death, theirs or someone who depended on them. So they developed powerful mental techniques, rooted in philosophies like Zen Buddhism and Bushido, to master the mind even under extreme pressure. They knew that the real battle didn't happen on the battlefield, but within themselves. And what you're about to discover might surprise you. These same tools can be applied to your modern life today, so you can finally stop being a hostage to your emotions. Imagine waking up without that heavy anxiety in your chest. Imagine facing a difficult situation without exploding or falling apart. Imagine making clear, firm decisions without letting fear or anger guide you. This isn't an illusion. This isn't empty self-help. This is the direct result of understanding and applying principles tested by centuries. And if you're here now, it's because some part of you knows you need to change, that you deserve to change. So take a deep breath, because from now on, you're going to understand exactly how your mind sabotages you, why it happens, and most importantly, but before I continue, I need to ask you something very direct, very honest. What emotion has been controlling you lately? Is it anger that explodes out of nowhere? The anxiety that paralyzes you before you act? The laziness that keeps you from starting? Or that sadness that seems to have no end? Stop for a second and answer me here in the comments. You don't need to write a huge text. Just one word helps. Because when you put it out there, when you name what imprisons you, you've already taken the first step towards setting yourself free. And more than that, your answer can help someone going through the same thing feel less alone on this journey. So go ahead, comment now. I read them all. And since you've made it this far, since you're here with me in this honest conversation, I need to ask you one more thing. If you haven't liked this video yet, do it now. It might seem simple, but it's that gesture that makes YouTube understand the content is good, that it's worth showing to more people. And look, it's free, it takes a second. But the impact is huge, because every like you leave here is a vote of confidence. It's you saying, this content deserves to be seen. And the more people see it, the more lives we can impact with this message. So, click the thumbs up now. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And if you want to keep evolving your mind with content like this, if you want to learn more about self-control, purpose, discipline, and practical wisdom that actually works in real life, subscribe to the channel now. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this kind of content. Every subscription is fuel for us to keep bringing what really matters, with no fluff, no pretense, just what works. So let's be part of this community. Hit that red button down there and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Now we're getting to what really matters. Because now that you understand the problem, that hidden wound that makes you react instead of respond, that puts you in emotional autopilot mode, it's time to understand why it happens, and more importantly, how the samurai dealt with it in a way you can apply today, in your routine, without needing to meditate 10 hours a day or becoming a monk. Your mind trains you to be weak. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because what I'm about to reveal might shock you at first, but it's going to make everything make sense. Pay attention. Your brain doesn't want you to be strong. It doesn't want you to evolve. Actually, its only job is to keep you alive. And alive, to your brain, means comfortable, predictable, safe. That's why every time you think about doing something difficult, something that requires real effort, your mind starts to sabotage you. It invents excuses. It convinces you that you're tired, that it's not the right time, that you'll start tomorrow. It's not a lack of character. It's not moral laziness. It's pure biology. Your mind was programmed over millions of years to avoid wasting energy and escape uncomfortable situations. Because back on the savannah, thousands of years ago, whoever wasted energy died. Whoever explored too much of the territory became a predator's lunch. So, the brain learned to reward whoever stays still, whoever repeats what they already know, whoever avoids risk. And that system is still running inside you, except now, in the 21st century. It doesn't protect you anymore. It imprisons you. And here's the hidden truth that nobody tells you. When you live on autopilot, commanded by this primitive programming, you're not really living. You're just repeating patterns, reacting to stimuli, being pushed by life instead of conducting your own journey. And the result? A limited life. A life where you always fall short of what you could be, where your decisions are guided by fear, pain, the desperate search for cheap dopamine, social media, food, procrastination, anger, distraction. All of this is your undisciplined mind seeking immediate comfort. And the more you give in, the stronger that pattern becomes. It's like training a muscle. Every time you choose comfort, you're strengthening the mentality of weakness. But the samurai understood this centuries ago. They knew that the mind, if left alone, becomes the enemy. So they created rigorous techniques of mental discipline based on Zen Buddhism. They didn't fight against the mind, they trained it. They used daily practices of meditation, controlled breathing, conscious exposure to discomfort, because they knew that true strength doesn't come from reacting to the world, but from responding with clarity, control, and purpose. And the difference between reacting and responding is everything. Reacting is automatic. Responding is choice, and choice is power. So here's the narrative break you need to absorb right now. It's not you. It's your undisciplined mind. You're not weak. You've just never been taught how to train the most powerful tool you have. And when you understand that, when you stop blaming yourself and start actually training, transformation is inevitable. Comment this: my mind doesn't control me anymore. Say that out loud and write it down, here below. It might seem simple, but it's an active decision, and every journey of real impact begins with a conscious decision. The brutal truth: you live reacting, not choosing. And here comes the part that hurts, but that also sets you free. Most people don't actually live, they just react. They spend their entire days being pushed back and forth by emotional impulses they don't even realize are running the show. The alarm goes off. You roll over in bed and grab your phone. A notification pops up, you click. Someone annoyed you, you explode. Something made you anxious, you run. You're bored, you procrastinate. You're sad, you search for any distraction to avoid feeling it. And at the end of the day, the week, the year, you look back and realize you barely chose anything. You just reacted. And that's the brutal truth that few have the courage to face. Your current life is the work of emotions you don't control. Think about it with me. That project you never started, it wasn't lack of time, it was fear paralyzing you. That important conversation you avoided, it was social anxiety commanding. That burst of rage that ended a relationship, it was you in autopilot mode, a hostage to impulse. Every time you give in to an emotional reaction, you're not just making a bad decision in that moment, you're shaping your identity. Because the brain is a pattern machine. Every time you act a certain way, you reinforce that neural pathway. It's like opening a trail in the forest. The more you walk it, the easier it gets to walk again. So if you live reacting with anger, your brain learns you're an angry person. If you live running from discomfort, it learns you're someone who quits. And then, over time, that becomes who you are. Not because you chose it, but because you let your mind on autopilot decide for you. The samurai had a powerful concept called mushin, which means no mind. It sounds contradictory, but it's genius. Mushin is the state where you act without being dominated, by emotions, without hesitation, without attachment to the outcome. It's acting with total clarity even under pressure. They trained this through rigorous practices of self-control and presence, because they knew that on the battlefield, whoever reacts loses, whoever hesitates dies. Only those who respond with a clear mind survive. And the same logic applies to your life. When you live reacting, you lose. You lose opportunities, relationships, time, potential. You become a slave to circumstances. But when you learn to respond, when you create that space between stimulus and action, you recover power. You become the protagonist again. And choosing is the greatest act of freedom that exists. Comment this: I choose, I don't react. Leave it here to show you understood. Because from now on, you're going to start observing your own patterns and train conscious response instead of automatic reaction. The bottom of the pit. While you hesitate, your life is being destroyed in silence. And here we arrive at the most painful point, but also the most important. Because the truth is that while you hesitate, while you postpone, while you let emotions command, your life is being destroyed in silence. It's not a dramatic collapse that happens overnight. It's a slow, invisible, devastating erosion. It's that promotion that went to someone else because you didn't have the courage to talk to your boss. It's that relationship that ended because you couldn't control your anger at the wrong times. It's that brilliant idea that died in a drawer because procrastination won again. It's that vicious cycle where you promise change every Monday, and by Wednesday, you're back in the same place as always. And the worst of all, you know it. You feel it. But it seems you can't break the pattern. Lack of emotional control doesn't kill you all at once. It destroys you slowly. It steals opportunities you don't even realize existed. It pushes away people who could have changed your journey. It traps you in impulsive decisions that cost you dearly in the long run. And over time, you start carrying a silent weight. The constant feeling of failure. That inner voice that says you're not good enough, that you can't do it, that you always quit. And you know what's crueler? You're losing battles you don't even realize you're in. Because the real battles aren't external. It's not the unfair boss. It's not lack of time. It's not the bad economy. The real battle happens inside you. Every day, every hour. It's the battle between the weak version that reacts and the strong version that chooses. Between impulse and discipline. Between comfort and growth. And if you don't take control of that internal war, you lose everything that matters without even realizing it was at stake. The samurai had an expression called ichigo ichi, which means one encounter, one opportunity. They lived with the deep awareness that each moment is unique and never comes back. That's why they treated each decision, each action, each battle with total presence and responsibility. They couldn't hesitate. They couldn't afford to react by impulse, because they knew that a single moment of mental weakness could cost them everything. And they applied breathing techniques, visualization, and physical discipline precisely to forge an unshakable mentality. They understood that the undisciplined mind is the greatest enemy, greater than any external adversary. That's why they dedicated their entire lives to mastering that internal enemy before anything else. Comment this: I take control now. Write that here below, because recognizing the bottom of the pit is the first step to climb out of it, and you're not alone in this climb. The ascension. There is a method to break this cycle. But here comes the turning point, because if you've made it this far, if you're still with me, it's because some part of you knows that change is possible. And I have good news. There is a method to break this cycle. It's not magic, it's not positive thinking, it's not empty self-help that promises you results without effort. It's a path tested, proven, refined over centuries by people who faced much greater pressures than ours and still managed to keep their minds sharp as a blade. Emotional discipline can be built. Just like you train your body at the gym, you can train your mind to respond with clarity instead of reacting on impulse. And the best part, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be inaccessible. It just has to be intentional. The big revelation is that you don't need to eliminate emotions. That would be impossible and even dangerous to try. Emotions are part of who you are. The problem was never feeling anger, fear, sadness, or anxiety. The problem is being dominated by them. It's letting them make decisions for you. And the difference between being controlled by emotions and using them as information lies in a skill few master: the space between stimulus and response. When something irritates you, there's a millisecond, a crack in time where you can choose: react or respond, explode or observe, run or face it. Most people don't even know that space exists. They live so fast, so on autopilot, that they jump straight from stimulus to reaction. But when you train your mind to identify that space, to expand it, everything changes. You recover control. You become the protagonist of your own story again. And the Japanese discovered this centuries ago. Through ancient practices rooted in bushido, Zen Buddhism, active meditation techniques, and physical discipline, they developed a complete system of mental strengthening. It wasn't theory, it was survival. A samurai couldn't afford the luxury of hesitating, reacting with anger, panicking. His life and the lives of those who depended on him were at stake every second. So they created practical, direct, applicable methods to master the mind under any circumstance. And the most incredible part, these same methods work today in your life, in your daily battles, in your modern challenges, because human nature hasn't changed. The brain is still the same. We just need the right tools to train it the right way. Comment this: I will train my mind. Leave that commitment recorded here, because transformation begins with a conscious decision, but it's sustained by repeated action. The samurai method, the 7 principles of self-mastery. And now comes the part you were waiting for. The 7 principles that samurai used to master the mind and that you can apply now today in your life. The first is zanshin, which means present mind. It's the ability to be completely where you are, without distraction, without scattered attention. When you're in an important conversation and your mind is already thinking about the next appointment, you don't have zanshin. When you're eating and scrolling your feed at the same time, you've lost zanshin. The samurai trained total presence because they knew distraction kills. In your daily routine, training zanshin is simple. Do one thing at a time. When you eat, eat. When you talk, talk. When you work, work. It seems obvious, but how many people do you know who actually do it? The second principle is fudoshin, the unshakable spirit. It's that rock-solid mentality that doesn't sway with every wind. Someone criticizes you. You listen, evaluate, decide if it's valid or not, but you don't fall apart. Something goes wrong? You adjust your course without panicking. Fudoshin isn't being cold, it's being firm, it's having deep roots. And you train it by consciously exposing yourself to small discomforts every day. Cold shower, difficult conversation, annoying task. Every time you face discomfort without running away, you strengthen fudoshin. The third is kokoro, which means firm heart, alignment between mind, body, and spirit. It's when your actions reflect your values, when you don't live in internal contradiction. If you say health matters but spend your time eating junk, you don't have kokoro. If you say family matters but you're never present, you've lost kokoro. Training this means acting according to what you really believe, even when it's hard. The fourth is mushin, freedom from ego. It's not about not having personality. It's about not letting ego command. It's about not needing to always be right, always in control, always on top. When you set ego aside, you learn faster, adapt better, grow more. The fifth principle is shikan, observe before reacting. It's creating that space between stimulus and response. Breathe, observe, only then act. Sixth, mental kaizen, daily micro-discipline, small improvements every day without exception. And the seventh principle is the inner sword, cut impulses before they grow. When anger arises, you cut it at the root. When laziness appears, you cut it before it takes over. The moral lesson: no one will save you except yourself. And now I need to give you the hardest lesson, but also the most liberating. No one will save you. No one will come rescue you. No one will do the work for you. Not the therapist, not the coach, not the motivational video, not the self-help book, not the person you love. The responsibility is yours. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you get out of the hole. Because while you're waiting for someone to fix your life, for circumstances to improve, for the perfect moment to arrive, time passes, and it doesn't come back. Your emotions won't magically balance themselves. Your discipline won't appear out of nowhere. Your mind won't strengthen because you wished for it. Real change requires real action, and real action hurts. It's uncomfortable, it's lonely, it's repetitive, but it's the only way. The samurai had a saying, "The warrior who waits for the perfect battle never goes to combat." They understood that life doesn't give you ideal conditions. It doesn't give you infinite motivation. It doesn't give you guarantees. It gives you only now. And what you do with that now defines who you'll be tomorrow. So stop waiting. Stop making excuses. Stop outsourcing your own evolution. You want a strong mind? Train it. You want emotional control? Practice it. You want a different life? Build it. Brick by brick, decision by decision, day after day. There's no shortcut. There's no magic hack. There's discipline, consistency, and total responsibility. And that's both the worst and the best news you can receive. It's the worst because it means the work is yours, but it's the best because it means the power is also yours. Here's the truth nobody tells you. You always had the power. Always. What was missing up until now was the courage to use it. The courage to look in the mirror and take responsibility that your life is the result of your choices. The courage to stop playing the victim and start acting. The courage to face discomfort, pain, fear, and do what needs to be done anyway. Because in the end, the only person who can pull you out of where you are is you. And the good news is you can start now. Not tomorrow, not Monday, now. Comment this: I take responsibility. Say it here below, because when you take responsibility, you empower yourself. And when you empower yourself, you transform. And if you've made it this far to this point with me, I know you're not an ordinary person. You're not the type who just watches for the sake of watching. You're here because you really want to change, want to evolve, want to build a stronger mind and a life with more purpose. And that deserves recognition. So if this content made sense to you, if it somehow touched something real inside you, leave a like here below. It's not just a gesture, it's you saying that this kind of content needs to reach more people. And I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And since we're together on this journey, subscribe to the channel now, because here you'll find more content like this, with no fluff, no pretense, just what actually works. Practical wisdom you can apply today and see results. Turn on notifications too, because every week there's new content waiting for you. Now write in the comments, "I master my mind," if you made it to the end and you're ready to apply what you learned. I want to see who's really committed to this transformation. And look, there's a video right here that complements this topic in a way you can't miss. Click and continue with me over there, because the journey doesn't stop here. See you soon.